Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Azem, featuring Jade Gwen Johnson.
Morning.
Morning, everybody. What's going on, guys?
I'm melting. I got hot. Oh my gosh, today hot.
Today is a special day, Kevon. Apparently, we are now figuring out that Jade can actually feel heat.
Yes.
I've always heard her say she's cold.
Today different.
Apparently, today is different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually a little scared.
No, it's okay.
But I'm rolling with it.
It's like that sometimes.
Kevon, how you stay? How things?
I stay good.
You stay good?
Yes.
You know, to respond to that, so I stay good.
Yeah, that works. That works.
Guess what, guys?
It is Thursday, July 8th. Woo.
Wow.
Stop on July, please.
Wow.
No, because on my computer is JUL 8, so the L
Ah,
8.
yeah. Gotcha.
Anyway, July 8th, and the time is 8:07 a.m.
Somehow I feel that ain't what the answer to guess what was.
No, it
Oh,
wasn't.
that was my guess.
Yeah, that was actually a good guess.
Freedom?
Freedom.
He's
The people-
coming to my
Actual freedom?
No, the people are outside. They're outside for sure. They are shopping. They're already in the lines. Remember to put our LNT, guys, so everybody can hear while y'all wait.
Don't be selfish with the tea.
No, you shouldn't.
Share the tea.
We already know y'all have to wait anyway, so might as well do something constructive while you wait. Yes,
I like it.
I do too.
Don't we all?
Oh well.
Y'all been shopping today?
I really have no intention of. The only thing that having me kind of considering it is fresh produce.
Yes, that's what I need.
Fresh produce. So there's a chance that somewhere might see me sometime today.
I need some fresh bananas and stuff. So
I need really what I need.
grapes.
Grapes. Yeah, grapes. It's what I need. I've been rationing my grapes the last couple of days, and just to ensure that I'm good. I'm up to today, so I need to figure that out.
You made it?
I made it. I have one little stalk left. Off the big bunch. It's like a bunch of maybe 8 grapes. And this morning I was tempted to, and I said, you know what, just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case I don't.
Get home tonight.
Wrong song,
Not
Jade,
that
but
one.
okay.
Just in case I don't make it to the grocery today.
Ooh, Lord, I'm hearing that song in a dance by. Well.
Jade is a grinder.
Everything reminds me of outside.
Anybody who does look forward to the song in the dance is a grinder.
And okay.
He's a grinder, Jade.
I thought everybody loved that song, but excuse me.
Jade.
Yes, but it depends on where you love the song.
Right.
I mean, when they hit
Gwen.
that, when they just get to that section where they just play all these songs.
The grinders that come out.
And you gotta do the arm swing clap
No.
and the both shoulder bounce.
What boring dance that? They sound like you're fed up.
That's the warm up, Jade.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
The grinders will come out in that segment there.
Sometimes you have
The new jack swing and so. That's when the Jades and so those get.
the Jade.
Yeah, because keep in mind, Jade, that I am the person who is always really active during other songs. So at any time where there's some time to spend in downtime, I'll take it.
When doing less is acceptable.
When doing less is acceptable.
Right.
And I'm no longer climbing scaffoldings.
Right.
know.
Vibes.
I mean, I this is Fetman we're talking to, you know.
Yeah, sometimes you got
You gotta defer to the professionals.
yeah, you got to climb a little scaffolding.
Yeah, gotta give my knees a break.
Yeah.
We're
not as young as we used to be, you know.
Listen, I know whenever they allow us to have carnival again, a lot of y'all gonna overdo it, you know.
What do you mean? You know the Voltaren gel?
Oh.
Rub it on your knees before you go. Any fet and you
no, bro.
go.
That they can just be in your Juve package.
Yeah, I just put it in
Voltaren.
That's a good action.
Rub it on my knees before I go.
No,
before I party start. Good to go.
Yeah, that's a good thing to have on you. I might have to tell Chatterbox. Kevon, note it down for Chatterbox. We're adding Voltaren packages.
The little sample gels?
Yes. We have to add them now.
I stopped there, right? I know how much people does lose ankles.
Me? I'm on.
I had a friend there when I play fast and calling me about I can come make it over by the Catholic church. You can pick me up. I'm trying to reach over there. I'm trying to reach over by the Catholic church. Just come out there by the courthouse. Come out there by the courthouse.
You know what destroyed me one year?
Such a flashback.
There was, you know, if you're entering the square from National Bank's entrance.
Oh, that's where everybody will just pass out.
But if you enter there, the first big tree on the left has a lot like roots out of the ground.
Right.
A lot. And one time I was trying yes, and it goes under the walkway too, and it got the walkway kind of raised.
Yes.
I one time tried to avoid walking to the crowd because the pathway was kind of blocked, so I decided to walk,
on the grass.
Like on the grass, and my ankles, like there was videos where the women wear high heels and they start to wobble and twist.
Oh no!
Yeah,
oh,
I just
no.
that was me, just wobble, twist, and then just collapse.
Oh.
And I just stayed here for a while.
Oh, I thought it was about to say that's where you pass out, because I know that's where a lot of people, if you need to find your friend to collect them off the floor, that's where they are. Like if you ever lose your friend in Juve.
The square is the collection spot.
Yeah, if you ever lose your friend in Juve, Azem, just go in the square. They're probably in there laying down.
It's one of two places.
I'm a harbor person. I don't collect nobody.
Bank Street, or the square.
Yeah.
Bank Street and the step and the steps, the pyramid steps.
On First Caribbean Wall or the pyramid steps.
Yeah, the pyramid steps.
Yeah, they're like lost and found. You just go around there. You must find one of your friends. But like, girl, I'm looking for you all morning, man. I see you be. Just pass out.
Well, now you do. So.
Wow.
Oh Lord, I miss Juve. I really miss Juve, honestly. Granted, after Juve is like when all the pain does start. As soon as you stop, like as soon as the music stops, the pain does start.
Yeah. Because you're going, and then when they stop the music to do whatever, and you have to walk, then you're just like, my knees.
And then when the music starts again, you're good again.
And then you sit, but no, when the music starts, you got to kind of get back into it. But once you're into it, you got to stay in it. It's like running,
Once you get up to pace.
Once you get up to pace, you stay in pace, because when you stop, the lactic acid starts building up, and then it's over for you.
That's what Juve is.
Okay, I'll take you guys' word for it.
I was about to say Azem has no idea what we're talking about because he does not participate.
Don't worry, Azem. I have so much fun on Juve that I have it for you, me, and many other people.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much.
Such a good friend.
Yeah. I mean, a few times, like, there's been a few times where I've, like, been there for, like, the whole thing, like, from early morning till, like, it done. But that's because, like, I'm on a truck. Like, either on a truck playing or mixing or something like that.
Most of my
There was a time
I tried
when
to
I was
avoid
in
it.
school, I used to go home for the winters, and somebody was interested in going to St Kitts, one of my friends, and they were like, "Oh my God, you guys' carnival looks so great," and they pull up pictures from Facebook and they start going to them, and they're like, "Oh my God, look at this guy, he's having so much fun. This looks," and I'm just like,
you ain't even a buy.
But then the thing is, I said, that's me. Because this was what? This was probably 2017, and it was Red Devils Juve when they did the Egyptian Devils, and I spent like half of that Juve on trucks. on the top of the water truck and on the top of some other truck. And I had the flag at some point. So he scored into it. He's like, the picture with the flag. He's like, oh my God, look at this. This is such an amazing shot. And he's going through, and he stopped at the one of the water truck. And he's like, look at this, man. These people must be having fun. And I'm like,
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I know
so that
exactly.
one was me. That one is me. And this one, he's like, no way. And I'm like, okay. Welcome to St Kitts.
That's priceless.
Somebody's asking if the hardware stores are open today. They're not.
Nope.
They won't be open until probably Monday, according to...
Will they ever open again?
No. But yeah, they probably won't open until Monday.
Yeah.
So, y'all want to jump into it? I feel like y'all don't have any gears to go in. Anything piss y'all off?
I think we were in some gears earlier in the week.
Bye, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Do we have gears to grind, my viewers and listeners?
I don't. I am not.
You know what has happened, you know? We just could be going to the conversation and then Jade does end up finding a gear and decide to go in it right there and then.
Yep.
Yes, Jade, you're the gear grinder.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. For now.
Do we have gears to grind? Not that I could think of.
No. I just want you outside me, please, with some information about how we're going to do this, please.
Yo,
I have a gear to grind.
Oh, see? There we go.
Ain't a gear.
A small gear.
Ain't a gear.
A small
It's
gear.
an announcement, not a gear.
Oh.
For all of the persons and people listening to our Thursday broadcast, while you are in lines, keep your distance, please.
Oh.
From others, wear your mask above covering your nose and mouth, because covering just your mouth, you might as well not wear one. So cover your entire lower half of your face with your mask. If you haven't left home as yet, pick up a new clean mask, not one that you've been wearing since the beginning of the pandemic that hasn't been washed. Walk with a hand sanitizer if you have one. That is portable. If you don't, feel free to squeeze a bit of hand sanitizer in some tiny container that you might have.
Or some foil paper.
Keep yourself clean. I'm just going wrong because I just feel it leaking everywhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how that works, but
Yeah, don't do that.
Fold.
The same powder, Jade. The same powder.
It can work,
So-
trust me. It can work.
Okay, that is not sanctioned by. The views expressed here are Jade's and Jade's only. This does not reflect the view of me or Kevon.
Somebody just realized they could use some foil paper. You stop there.
Okay, continue.
So, what else do we have to go through? Keep your distance, sanitize. If you aren't feeling well, don't go anywhere.
Imagine that.
If you aren't feeling well and you are already left, rotate 180 and go back where you came from. Don't show up to the hospital unannounced. Please call ahead of time and let them know that you are experiencing whatever symptoms you're experiencing, and they will organize and give you instructions as to on how to proceed from there. If you are not supposed to be on the road, or you don't have a reason to be on the road today, don't be on the road.
Kevon, remind me.
Well, Kevon.
Gas prices will be going up, which means you don't want to burn gas for no reason.
Most likely.
So.
Kevon. Well, you just inspired Azem to remember that he had a gear, so take it away, Azem.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Grind away.
No, this has to do with
some tea.
some of the stuff I saw the last limited movement there, and well, one thing in particular, and I've said it here before, but I actually spoke to some people about it who apparently were witnessing the same thing, so it ain't just me. So this actually happened, and it happened by Best Buy, not Best Buy, by Rams, or by the food court down Boyd. That one. I believe these people were there to try and ensure that order was being kept.
However, here you come in.
However, I am still trying to figure out what was being anticipated so that these gentlemen had to come out with assault rifles
You didn't see them when we passed this morning?
Where they were this morning?
By Valiant?
I wasn't looking there. You were looking. I was watching the road. But I don't know what. Like, again, this is my thing too.
What?
In times like these, we're in a state of emergency. We understand, right? We're in a state of emergency.
Mm-hmm.
I am employing the powers that be to recognize that, yes, our defense force is trained in the art of war. However, seeing as they are utilized more times than not to supplement the police force, we perhaps need to shift the training to include more policing tactics and measures, including the weapons that they're trained on and thus deployed with.
I agree.
What can possibly happen at the Rams line that would cause the response to require assault rifles?
It's there to show you guys, just in case
My
you
thing
feel a little
is-
rowdy.
Axman, so anybody sneeze or cough, getting shot.
Wow.
But
My thing is, like Azem is saying, you are trained in the art of war. Cool. That's your job. That's what you're meant to do. But you are supplemented at times, which means that during this current state of things, persons are using the movement days to get essentials, which means they're standing in lines in the sun for a long time. What makes you think that your guns are is there going to be a heist?
Well, it's not. You can't really blame them for carrying the weapons that they have. That's what they were sent to.
That's what they're
That's the
trained
thing.
on.
It's not them personally.
Yeah, it's not
they are instructed to bring their rifles with them. But my thing is, where is the entity needs to understand that not all things, when being supplemented, will call for rifles. So my thing is, here's an example. I'm standing in line, somebody is coughing out loud or being rowdy in the line. Do I feel comfortable walking over to the man with a rifle around his neck to tell him I need that somebody is doing, to address somebody? No, because I feel like that person is going to be, the person is going to instantly receive hostility. I mean,
but bro, like, this is my thing, right? You understand what? Like, I want somebody to explain to me the mentality when the commanders are deploying the soldiers, and they go, okay, you're going up by Rams up camps. Don't forget your M16. Like,
it's what they're accustomed to use.
That's what I'm saying.
They need
that's what I'm saying. Like, it seems to me like, no, like, we don't recognize, okay, this is what this thing is intended for. However, this is what it's mainly used for. And so we need to adjust certain things.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all. Like, nobody, I ain't saying they shouldn't be armed. Like, we're in a state of emergency, fine. I understand
They
certain
don't have
things.
like regular side pieces.
Jade.
I don't know. I'm
No.
thinking they don't have regular sized hand pieces like the police have.
M16 does take off limbs,
I don't. Yeah, that's why I'm.
Yeah, they're not. Okay. Police are supposed to be trained in the art of policing, right? Which means to subdue, to take into custody, to de-escalate, to protect, that kind of thing. Soldiers are trained to kill.
Are the ones here trained for that?
What else are they doing?
Man, I don't. Made in the army. Maybe I should join the army and see what it does do.
I know, why you come in here with your M16, be like.
I just back it up in the corner.
I know you can't do that.
I'm about to sit down here with it.
That's the problem. You can't put it down.
Oh yeah, cause you might try to grab it.
Exactly.
What? No.
Like,
okay, so wait.
And it was like at one point. To be honest, I'll be totally honest with you. At first, I really believed that they were waiting on food. I really thought like.
Oh, they was waiting to.
Yeah, I thought they were actually up there like ordering food. To be honest, because there was such a belief that there was nothing to worry about or nothing that warranted their presence, that they were just kind of standing off to the side in the shade. God, the sun was kind of hot last week too, was it?
And hot today.
The sun has come out for the limited days.
Oh dear.
The sun has come out. Like, oh, I run free. I think it's going. And then I recognize that wait there, no, they're patrolling. So I actually asked a friend of mine who I ran into up there, and I was like, boss, let me ask a question. Like, that does make you feel a kind of way? The man said, boy, I'm here watching them and trying to figure out what it is they do. I said, but I thought this food they got in. He said, but no, it'll be a long time.
No, I saw them this morning, honestly. Axman, you are so wrong. I don't know why you feel like I'm the most violent thing on the earth, but you are totally incorrect. But yeah, I saw them this morning. They was right by Valimat's doors.
Wow.
With their M16s.
Wow.
And now you mention it, it's off-putting having to come shop and seeing the guards by the door, like with
it's
M16s.
Unnecessary.
No, we're not saying that they shouldn't be there just in case. However, like, they don't have regular side pieces. Like, the police officers go home with their regular side arms. They always have them on them. When army men take off their uniforms, they don't have M16s on them. So why they can't have regular side arms?
My thing is, right?
They're soldiers. They're not police.
Yeah. My thing is, they need to be given some sort of training, or there needs to be some sort of policy in place that when called upon for certain situations, they respond differently.
Yes,
because
that's all.
You know, that's all it needs
that's
to take. Because,
all.
like I said, it's not the individual force, the persons on the force, because they're doing what they need to be, that they have to do. They are told to show up wherever they go while on duty with their rifles. So if they have to make the personal decision to not bring the rifle because they feel it's uncalled for, they will be at fault. They will get in trouble. However, a policy needs to be put in place where they respond differently.
I was wrong. The soldiers at Valimat don't have M16s.
There we go.
They just good.
Yeah. So I didn't see them this morning, so I don't know. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this needs to be something that I think the soldiers are trained on, like training in these types of situations. So we know you're doing crowd control, you're doing crowd management, like, you understand? Like, if you, for instance, there's times when they go and they supplement the police force, especially now, like at a lot of the roadblocks and the stops and so, the soldiers are there, right? Totally understand, especially given the fact that I think the police force right now is pretty stretched. So yeah, I think the police force is pretty stretched. So it's good that you have the defense force that could supplement, right? It's just a matter of training. It's just a matter of a certain type of training and things.
I guess it could be done, because if the ones that Valiant don't have M16s, I don't know what the reason the ones that Rams had theirs, but maybe they realized too that this is a little off-putting, and they decided to change their tactic.
Yeah, because I'm telling you,
and that's what I need to see.
Every single person I spoke to, including some of the owners of the establishments there, spoke about how off-putting it was.
Yeah, maybe they got a little complaint. Maybe somebody was like, I understand y'all here and y'all have to be here because we need your help. However, the M16s don't have to come. And yeah, so kudos to whoever decided to make that decision and now have the soldiers at Valimat without M16s. Good
nice
job.
Yeah, so we have a caller on the line. Caller, good morning. Caller, good morning. You're live on Island Tea.
Okay.
I think we lost that caller. Yeah, man. I think that was very off-putting last week. They really need to work on that bad.
What would you put me in now?
Cause the truth is, right? The truth is, like, the defense force is called upon a lot, like a lot.
Yeah.
Even doing the nightly patrols and stuff like that and whatever and thing. Yeah.
Maybe they have been actually trying to integrate them into police training, because again they're always with the police as far as I see. Like,
I got a problem with that, eh?
You have a problem with? I thought that's what you wanted.
No. We're in a state of emergency.
Oh, you mean?
We're in a state of emergency, so you understand that things gonna be a little different, because under regular circumstances, the army should not interact with the civilians. My thing is, if it's a matter that you feel you need to bolster the police force, then perhaps we need to push more people into policing.
Yeah, see, somebody was saying I went there. I was surprised when I went there last week. I guess she was surprised that she saw the M16s as well.
It was like 4 of them.
Yeah. You want? Let's say the 80 people found.
Bye. I wonder if Anguilla come into invade Rams. So maybe they ain't got a potato down there or something. But we have a call on the line. Caller, good morning. We're gonna hear this morning, man.
Okay, yeah, the Lions playing games today.
Yeah. The Lions them gonna go get their groceries now. Yeah,
Okay.
But yeah, so I don't believe like it should just be standard. I don't believe it should just be standard that this is what they do. Like nah. If that's the case, then it shows it to me it's telling that we need to bolster the force.
Well, I feel like suppose more people just prefer to join the army than the police. So now they have more people in the army and they need to help supplement the police force.
I mean, but that's what's going on. Like what I'm saying is, what we need to do. So for me, the question would be, so why is that? So perhaps we need to incentivize being a police officer. Perhaps maybe they need to look at things like
what are the incentives?
I mean, besides pay, maybe pay need to go up for the police officers. Maybe there's a public awareness campaign that needs to happen to that will not maybe.
I wanted to be a police officer at one time, you know.
Oh me Witty, you know exactly what you were saying, bye.
No, honestly, I considered being an officer and I considered being in the army, but I don't know. I don't know.
I was in the cadets for 1 day.
Besides the fact that
one day, I was like, why you feel you could talk to me this way? Like,
you see, and that's the thing. Like,
I mean, understand. I don't understand. Like, I was brought up to treat people with respect.
Yeah.
It's like,
may think the way I'm set up, it would be easy for me to stand and have somebody shout commands at me. Because I gonna say, I'm like, well, you shout it after me, and may think that's allowed.
No, but I like to tell people. I like to tell people when I think that something they're doing don't make sense, and like that's not necessarily encouraged.
And not only that, even if let's say I make it through training, right? And now I have to go out on patrol and whatever. I've seen y'all talk to the police a little wild, right? I mean, I think I could.
That's a problem.
I think it's
from the police officer standpoint.
I mean, it's good that you recognize. It's good that you recognize that.
Yeah, okay.
And perhaps some other people needed to recognize that.
Okay. You see, they didn't.
Like if you're in a that's part of the job. That's part of the job.
So then I can just not have that job because you can't really.
Like for instance, like me, I'm not a violent person. Like whatever, I just literally just remove myself from the situation.
And I can't.
So yeah. So
I'm an officer. I can't just decide. You know what I mean? Deal with this and walk off.
Yeah. No, I think I could deal with that. Like if this is my job, right, and somebody there just being an idiot, like the way they look at it, that don't really reflect on me personally, right? You know, it really reflected on me. Like you being an idiot. So me, the type of person who would like get tense and be tempted to argue back, and like that ain't really my scene. Now in terms of like being a soldier now, where the people who talking to you supposed to be your comrades and your commanders and thing, and I'm just like, okay, this probably isn't the environment for me.
I tell you, so as
this probably isn't the environment.
I sat down and I thought about it, and I'm like, man, I think I fit.
Here's my thing.
Yeah, remember that. Yeah.
For me, I used to want to go in to join the army because in my head, I thought the training was gonna get me fit, you know.
Oh, right.
I thought it was like
running on the bypass and so.
It probably will.
Extreme gym. That was what I had in my head.
It is extreme gym.
So idea saying, okay, at the end, you know, I'm gonna have big muscles, and you know, that's what I thought in my head. But then I was like, but nobody gonna shout in my face, so no.
Yeah.
And you have to be pepper sprayed and all these things. I can't do that.
You know what was interesting to me? At one point, I had a lot of I won't say friends, I'll say associates that may have gone down the wrong path in life, young men.
Decide to become soldiers.
Not now decide. Not now decide. They were sent to the camp. They were sent to the camp.
Let me ask you a question.
I remember I had about 6 friends at one time who were sent to the camp to receive discipline, and the man telling me, Bailey, the man send us up here for discipline. Man knows how to do a shoot now. Yeah.
I'm just about to say, right? I feel like I've heard that story about other people before. Like these are people who were deemed like troubled and all these things.
Oh yeah, send up the camp.
And you send them to the camp.
It's supposed to be punishment.
I know they're troubled, but they're excellent batmen.
But the thing about it for me is this, right? I could understand like you're sending somebody to a place for punishment, right? But obviously that ain't what they're going there for, because
like walk a little to shoot up.
No, but that is where people voluntarily go like regularly. This is like people's jobs. So it's like
I see.
It's like
I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's weird. Like
you can't tell me that this is punishment, but this is somebody else's job.
But this is like what people do like voluntarily, regularly.
So you punish it.
Like what I said about the people who made the decision to make this their job.
Yikes.
Like,
yeah, I don't have the thought that one through in the way that they probably should have, because now you say it, right?
The thing that was weird.
It is odd.
The thing that was weird to me, right, was that you were sending a lot of these guys to patrol in places that they have obvious trouble with people who live in those places.
And now you give them a gun to go to.
I was like,
This is
yo,
funny, but it's not funny.
This is like a powder keg ready to happen. How many pieces on?
Congratulations, guys. Sorry, Diana, congratulations. You know what?
So congratulations. Bye.
Speaking of, right, and you know what, let me Jade, something I thought about last night, right? So allegedly there are people who were given incentives to stop certain activities. I don't know what the incentives are for sure, because I was not in the meeting. But for you to be able to give them these incentives, you had to build a database. Am I correct?
Not necessarily.
So how are you going to know who you're giving?
No, because I don't have to know who it's going to. I just have to know who's responsible to make the decisions as to where it goes.
So
I mean, it could be. I don't know. It could be.
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure you had to have some names.
For instance, I could give to an organization rather than every single person in the organization.
Yeah, but I don't think that's how this one works, because I see people go directly to institutions to collect whatever they may be collecting.
Okay, so you have information that this is what it is.
Yes.
Okay. I was asking me, so I just didn't know.
But the reason I brought up this is because remember we was having discussions about incentives for the entertainment industry, and they were saying that it's hard to really figure out.
Oh yeah, I brought up that exact point.
Yes, I want to know name matching to me.
No, that's what we kept saying. Like, and that's one of the examples that I'm using. So, yes, as much as I understand that it might not be ideal because a lot of us aren't registered and thing, we have seen time and time again when there's disbursements to be handed out, that there's ways and means to get to get the money into the hands of those who it should be given to.
Yes. So
in the absence of these more traditional forms of registration.
So I am no longer accepting the excuse of that, it is difficult to figure out who is a part of these organizations and who, because there's ways and means. If you can do it for other things, well, you can't do it for us. What would be chop liver? I don't like it.
No, we're not chop liver, Jade. We is luncheon.
We are luncheon.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
no, it's not. We are luncheon.
I was up last night thinking about it.
Right. Yeah, that's literally one of my. I've used that exact program as an example, like that. Yeah, like
that don't make sense to me.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, this is my thing. I don't have a problem if you say it, because yeah, it's a problem, but I don't think it's a problem that does not have a solution. Like that's
Obviously not.
that's all it is. Like I agree that it's a problem. I just don't believe it doesn't have a solution. The solution
It's clearly not. It doesn't, because I feel like the other one was a bigger problem, and there was a clear solution. So, you know, I feel like that's Miguel. But then, I'm gonna relax a lot. I'm gonna save it till after I see certain things. Yes, but Kevon, I feel like we've grind. Azem, you have anything else to grind? You good?
I think I'm good.
Okay, Kevon, you feel refreshed?
Zen.
Yes.
All right.
Zen.
Well, use some of that Zen to sing the little nice little theme that we have.
Wait, which one? Oh.
I nearly spelled Mitya now.
Stop it, Jade. Tea time.
Nice.
So, let's give you your daily COVID-19 situation update. This one is from Wednesday, the 7th of July, 2021, as of 6 p.m. Confirmed cases within the last 24 hours were at 2. What am I reading? It's at 2. Active cases, we have 198, which is okay. You know, we're under the 200s now, so that's looking good. Number of cases between St Kitts and Nevis, together you have 519. To split that up for you, 501 for St Kitts and 18 for Nevis. Recovered cases 318, and death still at 3, which is great. So let's continue doing what we need to do, people. Please, today and tomorrow, there's a possibility where some spreading can occur. Please be super vigilant today and tomorrow. Sanitize. It doesn't matter if you sanitize at Valiamat and you're now at Rams, sanitize again. If it doesn't matter if you just sanitized 5 minutes ago, you sanitize again. Please do not give the staff at these establishments a headache for doing what they need to do to keep you and themselves safe. Okay. Yeah, it's a rant.
Yeah. Hey, you got somebody on the left just being an idiot. And the last time we talked about the defense force thing, dude, you're talking about border patrol. We're talking about the supermarket. You understand? Like, get your life together, please. Get your life together. Anybody that's got, all of us, like me and Kevon, we lived in the States. Most of us, we travel to the States. Anybody that's been walking down the street and see anybody, any M16s, any army personnel?
Doesn't happen. You don't see army personnel.
Just give me a break, man.
It's not a thing. It's
come here the last time with the same stupid argument about the airport. Border patrol, G. They're protecting the borders, not the supermarkets.
Yeah, this is necessary. So, if there's criminal activity happening, that's what the police are for. They're border patrol. They don't
oh my God,
leave their posts unless they are called upon.
Why people,
because they need
people so
extra assistance.
They look stupid by.
So.
Oh wait, somebody saying.
Oh, sorry.
I used to live near the army camp. Trust me, you wouldn't make it the things I heard. See, I tell her, I'm in the army. It's not for me. Thanks. No thanks.
Yeah, see? No thanks.
No thanks. But we actually have some updates from yesterday's NEOC briefing. Granted, it was just things that they said that they are thinking about. They didn't give us any clear plans. But, thinking is a part of it, I guess.
The proposals?
Something. So we'll hear what the plans that they're thinking about were from Abdias himself.
However, prior to that, on the 5th of July, the National COVID-19 Task Force would have had a discussion. And this discussion, we looked at the various sectors in society as per the reopening of our economy and the country as a whole, and bringing the country to a state of normalcy. Let me just outline to you per sector some of the recommendations, general recommendations that were discussed among the membership in consultation with a number of stakeholders. We look at public transport. We look at land and sea, because we know the air side of it is open and is functional. We look at the bus, taxi operators, at what percentage of capacity, or at what capacity, do they begin to function in a phased approach. We also look at the ferries, water taxis, and at what capacity they should function. We look at the business sector in terms of the opening hours. Should we continue with curfews? How do we continue with a phased approach to a number of these sectors? Encouraging e-commerce, looking at digital transformation as the way forward to help us build resilience, because the reality is that we have to live with this virus going forward. We also look at the discussion of vendors remaining in the public market. We look at the situation of farmers and fishers, adopting programs that will help them to be resilient. We also look at the policy of persons working remotely and the capacity that should be permissible for persons to return to offices. And we look at the policy for the vaccination for businesses to continue to, advocate for vaccination, and also the continuing education programs for these businesses. We also look at the construction sector and looking at opening of the hardware stores so that construction can begin, and how this construction sector can do their trade or apply the trade in a very safe manner. We were happy with the religious sector because they have been conforming with the protocols and procedures, and there was much really that we can actually advocate for, but for them to continue doing what they were doing. We also look at the education sector, the protocols and the documents that have been developed by the Ministry of Education in consultation with the Ministry of Health and other stakeholders such as the task force, National COVID-19 Task Force. And we also encourage the reopening of nurseries and daycares with strict protocols. Let me just mention something for the business sector. For the business sector, we also discuss stiff penalties for those who are not conforming to the protocols. For example, a ticketing system. Rather than taking you to court right away, have a ticketing system, and by extension, then if it reached to the point of taking them to court, then we should do so. We also look at the tourism sector, the opening of beach bars and restaurants. We look at the opening of restaurants and bars in general, and also the return of the cruise industry. That is priority for us. We would love to see the tourism sector become alive and highly competitive and one of the best in the region, and we are looking at these sectors. We are hoping that the stay-over tourist or guest that will increase as well, and that is why some recommendations are on the table for the reduction of the quarantine period. We also looked at the entertainment sector, limiting the limited activities of fetes and subjecting persons to a number of protocols, encouraging the vaccination process, looking at non-vaccinated, and also ensuring that there are caps in a phased approach to activities. We looked at the manufacturing sector. We were pleased by the approach that was taken by the manufacturers themselves. We would have met on the 5th with the manufacturing sector as well. And they themselves rolled out their plan in how they wish to open, and that was commendable. I want to commend Cajola Cristado, Jawo Electronics, and API Harrow Sovo.
Yeah. Sorry, but these kind of things, like, there's kind of wary of it, to be honest.
Yes.
I kind of wary of it, to be honest. I want to know what exactly we're doing. Even so, more than, oh, we looked at this and we looked at that, we looked at this, we looked at that. I keep saying,
when we look at it with.
But that's one thing too. But at the same time, I feel like the approach needs to be one that is goal-oriented. And when I say goal-oriented, I mean, what do we want the days to come, the months to come to look like? And then you put things in place to achieve that, right? This reactionary type policy making, they can cause more and more problems, more problems. Do we want to see a future where there is direct segregation between the things that vaccinated people and unvaccinated people can do? Is that something we want to see? Okay, we're gonna make policies that reflect that. Do we want to see a future where businesses have to close down every time we have a certain level of exposure to the virus? Okay, well, we're gonna make like, these are the decisions that we need to make. What is the future we want to see? How we want the country to look? What we want things to look like? What rights and what privileges we're going to give to certain people? Because that's really what it comes down to. And I think the thing for me, right, is that whether they acknowledge it or not, the decisions that are going to be made within the next week can say a lot about what the mindset is and what the goals are. And trust me, people waiting to see. Not waiting to see just because, I want to know what I could do from what I can do, But it's going to signal what are the priorities for the government and who has the ear and all this. Like, it can signal a lot.
I had a thought last night after listening to all of these things, right? So I do understand that your priority is to keep the country safe, and you're thinking that, vaccinating is one of those ways and stuff, but it's not the only way. When we implement these things that somehow seem to segregate unvaccinated people from vaccinated people, are we thinking about the effects of this in the long run? Because yes, it could work for now, but what happened to down the road when the people who make to feel like they are least important or they don't have specific rights? What happened to those people when it's time for you to now go speak to them about elections and different things? Do you not see that will bolster some kind of contempt for whoever because of how you dealt with them? Because if I am somebody that, for whatever reason, decided not to take the vaccine, but I am following all the other protocols, and now I'm starting to feel like my way of living is harder because I decided to make this choice. But the government now is looking at me for votes and whatever else they need from me. Like, how is that going to work?
It's going to be interesting to see because I think there's a lot of hedging going on, right? When I say hedging, it's like, and this isn't something that is unique to our government. I think governments across the world have been making the decision as to exactly how they go about moving policies into a direction that favors things like economics and stuff, right? As opposed to initially healthcare, lives. So it's like, we always talk about that lives versus livelihood thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point, there is a big cry from the public, especially the business community, that we need to start favoring livelihoods a bit more. Had governments taken that stance off the top, they'd have been killed. Some of the same decisions that they're going to make in this upcoming week, had they made those decisions last year, March, June, July, they'd have been killed for it. But now, there's a direct cry from certain sectors of the population for those exact decisions. And so I think what's going to happen is that you're going to see some support in the community for certain decisions. As a matter of fact, I'll give you an example of how this thing can be interesting to watch. I was talking to somebody yesterday who is not comfortable taking the vaccine, right? And so the question that I usually ask is, how do you manage, like, how do you assess the risk? So you're doing because you're concerned about the vaccine and possible side effects. So you're rather to deal with the known side effects of the virus than the unknown side effects or possible side effects of the vaccine. And he said, well, if you put it to me like that, I can take my chances with the virus. So I said, that's cool. And then we went on to talk about what he thinks about it. You know, he's somebody who is very much into fitness, very much into eating healthy, eats organic, things like that. And so he feels like he would rather deal with that situation. I said, okay, cool. Recognizing that that's how you feel, how do you then balance that with what the government is doing in terms of putting things in place to try and limit the spread and stuff like that, whether it is closing the borders, lockdown, that kind of thing? He said, well, I believe we got to do that. But I said, but you're saying that you can't have both. You can't not want the vaccine and then decide let's put things in place to not get the virus, because then we need to, as a nation, either have people getting the virus so they could develop antibodies and some type of resistance, or develop the resistance to the vaccine. Otherwise, we're in a situation where this thing will be prolonged forever.
But there will always be people who refuse to take the vaccine, and you can't force them into taking it. So.
No, that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying the people that don't want to take the vaccine, are they willing to deal with the possibilities of getting the virus?
I'm pretty sure at this point they are.
Right. So if we understand that, so then now the question now becomes, so does the government decide, okay, well, the people who wanted to get vaccinated have done so, we've given them the opportunity, and so now we're going to relax things to allow the virus to probably most likely, you know, be an even bigger issue than it is now. Now, I think that has other long-lasting effects on the healthcare system. Are we able to deal with what would come, stuff like that? Especially from what we've seen now, which is we have a variant now that obviously is spreading different to what we had last year.
And it could.
Yeah.
Right? And then not only that, that's another thing. When you start talking about protecting people and this thing going on longer, then what happens is you start getting more variants. Who knows what level of efficacy the vaccine that we're taking, they can have on those variants. So it's like at some point, even the people that are not necessarily gung-ho about vaccination, they're going to have to decide, well, what are the expectations? Like, do you expect us to just stay like this, or do you expect us to move forward? You understand? And then if you decide that we're moving forward, how does that look? Again, and that's the problem. I think
we just want to see about some plans.
I don't even about the plans. I want to know what is it that's governing the decisions that are being made. That's what I want to know. I want to know what is governing. Is it that we are really doing what we have to do to, at all costs, protect as much life as possible? Then fine. And then, is it a matter that, well, by the economy cannot continue the way it is, and so we are going to have to recognize, like some countries are plainly saying, which I respect, that we're going to have to do things that are going to increase, that we expect spikes, we expect deaths, we expect people to be seriously ill, we expect serious strains on the healthcare system, because this is what we want, and we have to do based on the fact that this is what we want to see. So the only way we could get here is to allow this to happen, given all the variables. One of the things that is interesting to me too is, like, when I'm speaking to my friend and I start telling him, like, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but you have to recognize also that a lot of people don't live the lifestyle that you live. Also, there are a lot of people who, for one reason or the other, whether it be age or health reasons, can't take the vaccine.
Exactly, and
so how do you manage that? And
that's my
but you see, I just want the honest conversation, and he was honest. He was like, look, the truth is, there are people who may die. He just doesn't think that the numbers, the potential numbers based on what we've seen so far, justifies the
response.
This stuff that we're doing now. So like, and the things that we're losing in terms of revenue, in terms of people losing the job, in terms of the effects on people's mental health and stuff like that. Here's like, some people may die. Like, and I as much as I may not agree, I was thankful for his candor. Like, and you just need to have these honest conversations.
I agree.
But the conversations,
the honesty is missing.
And the conversations to me are very, not only just surface, but very insular. So it's like, if we're talking about economics, the conversation only takes into account this very narrow economic discussion. That's what you're saying. I don't even want to hear about what the plans are in this industry and that industry and whatever. No. What is it that we want to see? How we want the nation to look in 5-10 months.
I agree. But and I actually want to continue this conversation, but we have to jump into some conversation about health with Lake Health and Well-being. So we'll just take a quick break and come back for that, and then we'll jump back into our conversation.
Hey.
So stay tuned, people.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Portsmouth's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less and save more. How, you ask? Essential Everyday and Equiline. Spend less on our Essential Everyday products and get the best quality, the best taste, and the best value. Spend less for all your family health and beauty needs with the Equiline brand of over-the-counter products. Portsmouth's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less with our Essential Everyday products and Equiline over-the-counter health and beauty care products. Shop smart and spend less at Value Mart, where price matters most.
Hold on, stop. Think about the drink before you take a drop. Read up on the label on the back. They say science, sugar, low and fat. But don't be fooled by that. Drink some water, share some love. Tell your body you're sweet enough. Drink some water, share some love. Tell somebody you're sweet enough. Drink some water, share some love. Tell your body you're sweet enough. Drink some water, share some love. Tell somebody, yeah.
Welcome back to Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Azem, featuring Jade, Gwyneth Johnson. And it's time to jump into Health and Herbal Tea with our BFF, Welcome and good morning.
Good morning, good morning, Kevon. It's so nice to see you. That times have been here, I haven't seen you, so it's nice to see you. Thank you very much for the introduction and the greetings. And hello to everybody listening, everybody watching. Again, so my name is Isalean. I'm the Advocacy Officer at Lake Health and Wellbeing, here to give you a monthly dose of health and herbal tea. And this is part of our Your Season of campaign, where we're kind of trying to inform and educate the public about, the dangers of sugary drinks and also the kind of like the non-communicable disease burden that we have here. So, I was kind of listening a little bit to the conversation from before, and, I think it's fitting because just today, want to give people some campaign updates and just talk a little bit about how, in the context of that we're living in now, with, obviously the spread of COVID and stuff, how that's been affecting us. And particularly as it relates to the health impacts, particularly for people with non-communicable diseases. So, part of the campaign, we continue to kind of host online events, since we're in lockdown. We've been hosting some online events, like some film screenings and lunch and learns on different topics. And we're really trying to pivot, like everybody else is, so that we can continue educating and informing the public on how they can stay healthy and things that we need to kind of keep into consideration, especially as we struggle with kind of making sure that we can limit the spread of COVID. So, first of all, a shout out to everybody who's been supporting our online events. If you continue to follow our pages on Facebook and Instagram, and, everybody who's been part of that rollout and kind of staying connected. So we appreciate that. So, like I mentioned today, just, the focus that I kind of want to talk about is kind of like thinking a little bit about the health impacts of the pandemic on, especially as it relates to the NCD epidemic that we face. So I think COVID-19 has, really dominated our attention, naturally so, and taken up a lot of space. And, so not just in relation to, health considerations, obviously we're in community spread and, there are concerns and anxieties around that, but also as it relates to the economy and people's livelihoods. And so, one of the things that I think, we need to consider and think about is the ways that, obviously COVID-19 is immediate, it's an immediate threat, but it's also, overwhelming the conversations about other health issues, and it's overshadowing those things. And so, if we're not talking about vaccines, we're talking about job losses and economic hardship, but I'm wondering if people still give consideration to, the NCD epidemic, which is very much a reality. So, I was wondering, if like people have thought about and kind of want to open up conversation and invite us to think about the ways the pandemic has actually worsened the dire public health burden, particularly as it relates to non-communicable diseases. Have anybody given that any thought? What about the people we know who are living with non-communicable diseases? I don't know if anybody has given that any thought. Have any of you given that any thought? How that might be affecting persons?
Yeah, I think so. I think we actually mention it sometimes when we're talking about certain effects. And I know some of us have family members who are dealing with these things, so we could see it up close, exactly some of the ways that it might have been affecting them.
Right. I mean, well, just to kind of start, I want to obviously drop some statistics again. So just remind people as to kind of where we are at when it comes to persons who are, we're all living through this pandemic, but there are persons who obviously have pre-existing conditions. So it's actually the latest stat from that we have from, I think this is an old one from 2000, is that we know over half of the population, so 54% of adults, have at least one chronic illness, right? And so, we know that more than half of the adult population is living with some sort of chronic illness or chronic disease as it relates to NCD. And so when we think about, persons, for example, the diabetes prevalence, which again is 23%, hypertension rates, 35%, obesity rates, 45% for adults and 33% for children, we want to understand, in light of access to care, things like that, when we have lockdowns, how is this affecting persons with non-communicable diseases? And, data has kind of shown that that's been an issue for persons, but also as it relates to, what's particularly alarming too is, some of the spin-off health impacts is people are experiencing more mental health issues and more mental health concerns. And, I think sometimes we can forget the realities and kind of like realities of like persons who might be experiencing these things. And I kind of want to invite the conversation and open it up so that we can think about some practical considerations as we work to, as a community, support persons, especially since we know the economic impact has been very great, and we see the strain on social services. That more people have been in need of social services. So I got a question some time ago, I think from the last time I was here, around the cost of what's the cost of NCDs on kind of like our economic expenditure. So I went to do a little digging. I don't know if y'all can anybody want to kind of guess just the amount, like the percentage of our public expenditure that goes to persons living with non-communicable diseases. This is prior to pandemic, and potentially after it could be higher.
Wow. I wouldn't even have a frame of reference.
A part of me wants to be devil. A part of me wants to be devil advocate and call a number, but I'm not going to.
What's the number, Kevon? What number you want to call?
Two.
No, you got me more. 16.
No, 15? Oh, okay.
16 actually.
See, that's why I said I was going to play devil's advocate, because I want to say it could be more, but
Okay. Well, so I actually went and did some digging to find out, what is the economic cost of NCDs for us. So this is from a World Bank report. So it's a bit, data is a little bit dated, so it could be more than likely more to date. So this was since 2005. They noted that continuing care treatment for persons with diabetes and hypertension, so this is just diabetes and hypertension in St Kitts and Nevis, actually accounted for 48% of total public health expenditure. So this is just to treat, diabetes and hypertension, accounts for almost 50%, and potentially now in 2021, it's potentially more likely that it accounts for, almost half of total public health expenditure.
And that's just people dealing with those two particular ailments.
Right,
wow.
Right. And then even more so when we think about just kind of the annual, so they broke it down to say the annual cost of care per diabetic patient. So this is the cost of care to treat one person who just has diabetes. Mm-hmm. It actually exceeds the average total health expenditure cost per person. So health expenditure cost total in terms of if you go to the hospital, to the emergency room, if you go to blood tests or whatever. Mm-hmm. Treating one diabetic patient costs annually, as they said, $659 which exceeds the total expenditure, healthcare expenditure per person, which is $623 yearly. So to treat one diabetic patient just for diabetes costs a lot more than treating just an average person who might have just a typical range of health issues that go to the hospital.
Wow.
So, we want just to kind of contextualize that we already have a high burden. So this was prior to the pandemic. We are experiencing high burdens of persons living with non-communicable diseases, and we already experienced just the economic cost of that. We feel that. And so when we think about that and, consider the fact that with this pandemic, it is actually in some ways exacerbating the experience and exacerbating the issues and the health issues that persons living with non-communicable diseases face, we, I think, need to, in our thinking and especially in the way that we're mobilizing to support people throughout this pandemic, need to also consider what are the ways that we can, also be cognizant of the fact that we also have an NCD epidemic that has been ongoing and persistent before the pandemic and will be after. So, for example, when we talk about the health impacts of the pandemic, and what's particularly alarming is, I mentioned, data is kind of showing, global data is showing that, COVID-19 has really affected people's access to care. And, particularly for those already living with an NCD. So, obviously we're in lockdown and there are persons who, probably need to access, health clinics and services for their diabetes or whatever. But because we're in lockdown, that particularly has particular effects and could potentially be worsening people's health conditions, which then might, create a heavier burden. We talk about mental health and how that also kind of potentially affects people and even eating habits and stuff like that. And then even when we think about, the income losses that we know people are really experiencing, and that has, people are talking about it, and the social assistance services that have been mobilized to support people throughout this. So, there was a recent report by an article by the governor of the ECCB, Timothy Antoine, and he talks about food and nutrition security and how vulnerable our food and nutrition systems are as a result of the pandemic. Right. Now, it's just really important for us to think about this.
Wow.
And it's important for us to think about it because, food and nutrition is kind of what we need to make sure that we maintain healthy diets and healthy immune system, right? Mm-hmm. And so one of the things kind of that's noted is that, income losses are really limiting person's ability to purchase any kind of food, let alone nutritious food, which we know is tends to be more expensive than, say, ultra-processed foods. And so, we kind of, need to think about that and put that into perspective, especially as we're mobilizing social assistance efforts for, food baskets and those kinds of things. Considering the economic challenges, the findings is that, the purchase and consumption of cheap or more ultra-processed foods that are actually high in sodium, high in sugars, and high in fats has actually increased. And again, that's because of access.
Right. Exactly.
And because of access, that the pandemic has affected access to care and access to resources that allow people to make sure that they can maintain kind of a healthy immune system and healthy lives, which is actually vital if we want to make sure that we can fight off the pandemic. Regardless of whether you are vaccinated or not, we still need to make sure that we are all, eating well and being nutritious so that we can, be healthy to combat, even if we do contract the virus.
Correct.
So, I kind of want to know, what if there are any thoughts out there, and what people's thinking are around, if that is a consideration that people are making, and as well, if you know anybody and you have persons in your family who live with an NCD and are going through this pandemic, of course, open to kind of hearing what people's thoughts are, what people have to say, if anything at all, on this. But I think, most importantly, I think for this today, just kind of want to, raise people's consciousness and awareness, especially as we are mobilizing the community to support those who are less fortunate than us, especially as it relates to kind of, providing social services and food boxes, is that when we think about these things, be conscious of persons who we know that we have half of the population are living with some kind of chronic illness. And so perhaps when we are creating food baskets and those things, see how we can make sure that we also provide, fruits and vegetables, or, instead of purchasing, juices, make sure that, water is included in our food basket, so that we can help people to also gain the nutrition that they need, which, is not easily accessible to most people, especially because of the economic losses and hardships that people are having. Because, that's something that we really need to consider and think about at this time, where we know and we hear that people are experiencing a lot of hardships at this time.
I don't even know if a lot of people were even thinking about this before you said it, because, a lot of times people, when they think about needing to give or to provide baskets or assistance, they really go for the non-perishable items like pastas and canned stuff and all of that, and the fruits and stuff kind of fall by the wayside. And it's, I think, one of the reasons to it because buying these things are costly, and for you to have to provide this in bulk for a lot of people, it kind of eats up the money that you may have to provide for more families. So I don't know how we could
balance that.
But it feels like a snowball effect, because then we recognize these are the things that are then going to contribute to even more people being in this situation, and then having it be an even bigger strain on the process of the government and the rest, and basically the rest of us actually.
Definitely.
Right, and I mean, it's true. I mean, you make really good points, and I think what we need to consider too is that the persons, and this is also statistically true, that the persons who tend to suffer from non-communicable diseases are, those who are in the poor economic brackets than us. And so, they tend to also then bear the economic burden of having to treat these conditions because of the fact, that access to these things, access to kind of, healthy foods is harder to come by. And so when we think about, when you mentioned the point on, for those of us who are seeking to help others, which is, very important and, all well and good, obviously we want to do it in a kind of, a way that is economically prudent so that we can, make sure that, we share it around. And so I think, it's more a call for perhaps more strategic mobilizing and organizing, because we're obviously in a lockdown. We have farmers who are farming and, produce being grown and made. And, it's either going to spoil if nobody's using it, and we know that there are people who are in need who need it. So, I don't know what that necessarily might have to look like if, in terms of, reaching out to farmers and cooperatives to make sure that we can, to see how we can create baskets for persons who are in need so that we can help for people to meet their nutritional needs. Because as you say, otherwise we're kind of being complicit in perpetuating these same, health, unhealthy cycles and public health issues that we're having. And, even when you say, you go to the supermarket and you buy non-perishables, there's not a problem. There's nothing wrong with, buying, canned peas and beans, buying canned tuna and buying canned sardine. These things actually meet, they meet nutritional needs. But it's just being a little bit more conscious, maybe we can skip the Vienna sausage. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, instead of buying the Vienna sausage, maybe let's buy a can of peas, a can of beans, let's buy some dried peas, and so just kind of be a little bit more thoughtful and conscious in terms of, what we're putting into a food basket, because there's nothing wrong with purchasing non-perishable things, but, look for the option that is low in sodium, look for the options that are, lower in sugar. And again, this comes back to, reading the labels and, just trying to be a little bit more conscious about those things so that we're not in one vein trying to manage the ripple effects of this pandemic by creating and further frustrating another problem that we already are struggling to manage when it comes to the non-communicable disease burden on our federation. And so that's really just kind of the message that I want to get across today, and just kind of put that out there because this is something that I think we just need to raise our consciousness about. There are multiple things happening. And of course, COVID-19 is getting a lot of airtime. The economic hardship is getting a lot of airtime, reasonably so. But we cannot allow it to overshadow the reality of the NCD epidemic that is ongoing and that has been further exacerbated as a result of everything that's happening. So I kind of, it's looking at time, so we're almost at time. But, one of the things that I just kind of want to plug here as well, is, drop that, and hopefully y'all can kind of incorporate that into your conversations, especially when you're talking about, what we want to see post-pandemic. One of the things that I would like to see is, more mobilizing and more kind of work around how we can become healthy and a healthier nation, just generally, and shifting those cultures, because that's kind of important. It's important, and it's a need, that's something that we need, particularly as we need to really focus on building our immune systems. And we, better nutrition is one of the ways that we do that. And so I would hope that those considerations are also made when we're talking about post-pandemic and thinking about, well, how are we going to deal with the fallout as it relates to the non-communicable disease epidemic that is also being continued and also being frustrated as a result of the pandemic.
So I what you're saying, I think, is really that we really need to continue to sensitize each other as to some of these topics. I think that, like you said, there's so much going on that sometimes we overlook these real issues, and sometimes they get a little drowned out by the noise of everything else that's happening. Because one of the things that I was talking to a friend about just recently is the whole issue of just even outside of even reading the labels, just even having the initial thought of what is it that I'm putting in my mouth, right? And how that would then affect behavior going forward. Because if you ask yourself that question, you want to find the answers. And I think that we we really need more sensitization like this show. You come in here and talking to us about this thing, because I think it's really opening up a lot of people's eyes as to exactly what the situation is. I think sometimes living in a little bubble, you don't even recognize that this is such a huge societal problem.
It's true. It's true. And, and that's kind of what, that's what I'm here for. That's what we're here for. I know I'm a small voice. But at the same time, it's important work. It's necessary that we do it. And part of the reason, I think that's part of the importance and the function of civil society organizations like Health and Wellbeing, a public health NGO. And we know that, government resources, particularly for small island development states, is limited. And of course, attention is focused on making sure that we can, manage the COVID-19 pandemic and manage vaccination rollouts and that kind of thing. And so understandably so, the government's attention is there. And so that is why, as an NGO, we still, are trying to make sure that we sensitize people to also the reality of other public health challenges, the public health challenges that we've had and that we will have, even post-pandemic. And so, we're here for it, and that's what we're trying to do. And it's just kind of like, encouraging people to be conscious of these things. And like I said, the more practical considerations we can make is as we're reaching out as a community people, as persons who are, creating food baskets and reaching out to find out what people need. Remember that the same persons that we're trying to support, put more than likely some percentage of those persons are actually living with some sort of non-communicable disease or some sort of chronic illness. And so we don't want, when we're extending help, to further frustrate the problems that they're experiencing as a person living with a non-communicable disease in terms of what we're offering them for support. So just kind of, think about that as a practical consideration and ways that, maybe, farmers and how we can kind of get persons more local produce, more, nutritious and that more nutritious foods, so that they too can, build themselves and build their health and immune systems and not further frustrate their health issues at this time. So, skip the sugary drinks, skip the juices, and buy some water. Like I said, peas, beans. Try to avoid ultra processed foods. And just see how we can, even ask people what their needs may be, because some people may be in need of medication. You know what I mean? So, it's trying times. And so we kind of need to just be a little bit more conscious of, everybody else's realities, about other people's realities, beyond just making sure that we can put food on the table, but, kind of have a little bit more consciousness of what that food looks like and how that could potentially further perpetuate negative health impacts. There's that. I just want to make a little plug here. So like I said, we're all about research and trying to pull information and to understand people's experiences, particularly as it relates to kind of, going through this pandemic. And so one of the things that we're really trying to do is, this conduct a research study to understand the experience of persons living with non-communicable diseases throughout this pandemic, some local research. So there's information out there from globally, from the US and from the States, but we kind of want to understand the experience of persons in St Kitts and Nevis. And it has been a struggle to get people to volunteer to, just interview with us and just talk to us. I don't know. Why are people so reluctant to do research, folks? I don't know, man. What's the reason? Y'all kind of tell me what do we need? Because we're offering, a small stipend, a small compensation for people's time. And we're just looking for persons who are living with any kind of chronic illness. It could be minor, it could be major. Just to kind of talk to us about your experience and what that has been like. Because what we're really trying to do is understand so that we know what recommendations can be made in terms of interventions to better support people in times of public health crisis. Maybe another pandemic, maybe something else, who knows? But we know that persons are having a hard time, but we just don't understand exactly what that looks like for persons. And so we just really want to, carry out this research to understand and talk to persons and interview with persons who are living with an NCD or some kind of chronic illness, so that we can collect that information and make very valuable recommendations to see how we can better support persons. We're still doing that. We're still looking to people. I don't know, but y'all think people don't want to do research. I don't understand. This is my life's work.
I think some people are just
the first thing that comes to mind for me is confidentiality. I think people are afraid that me coming to you to help you with your study is going to put my information on blast.
Right.
But I don't think a lot of people. Well, I mean, it's a bit understanding because we do have a confidentiality issue in St Kitts and Nevis.
Sure. Yes.
So.
And I totally understand. That's something that we've discussed, and that has come up. But I want to assure persons and members of the public that at least for us at Lake Health and Wellbeing, we're very professional in our work, and we adhere to very strict research ethical guidelines that requires to ensure that confidentiality is at the top and priority of our list when we're talking to people. So any information that is shared or divulged, there are no names attached. There is nobody going out and telling anybody else that's not the nature of what we do, because we adhere to certain very professional research standards and research ethics. We do research with integrity because, like I said, what we do in terms of gathering this information is so that we can really understand the problem, so that we can make recommendations to government and to other organizations, private sectors, so that we can better assist people. So the objective is really to make sure that we create a society that is more sustainable and more inclusive. Not necessarily we're interested in going and chatting about business. That's not what we're about. So I don't know how to encourage people more so that confidentiality is something that we maintain with the highest level of standard. Because then it could potentially shut us down as an organization if we don't adhere to these research standards. Well,
hopefully people hearing that will now understand that, yes, although you may have fears of your confidentiality and your information being out there, this isn't something that could happen because y'all can get sued. So
right. And I mean, and the thing is too, we're not necessarily concerned, we're not necessarily interested in the name of the person, we're interested in their experience. So if you want to come and, not give us your real name and, use a pseudonym, we're not going to do any fact checks to find out if, your name is your name. But we're very interested in the fact that you are having this, the criteria is you're living with a non-communicable disease and you have time to sit and interview with us. Your name is not a pertinent part of the study. We're interested in your experience and understanding your experience so that we can, collect all of these experiences and see where commonalities and trends are so that we can then do some thinking and analysis around that. So that's really what we're trying to do. We ain't trying to find out people's business. We just want to understand the problems so that we can find solutions.
Right.
We're all about solutions.
So for people who want to, contribute to the solution finding, what's the best way for them to reach out to you guys and, be able to have these conversations?
So you can email us at research@lakehealthandwellbeing.com. So that's research@lakehealthandwellbeing.com. Or you can contact us on our numbers. You can find our numbers online on Facebook or on Instagram. You can send us a direct message. You can, any one of those means. You think, our contact, we are very responsive. So if you send us a direct message, we respond. You call us, we answer. If you email us, we respond. And so you can find us, our information, Facebook, Instagram, on our website, which is, lakehealthandwellbeing.com. And again, or you can email us directly at research@lakehealthandwellbeing.com. So all one big word long. So encouraging people, please. And like I said, we are, like I said, we have, we are offering some kind of compensation. So we do offer $50 to compensate people for their time, because we really appreciate you taking the 60 minutes to sit with us and to just talk about your experiences. So we have scripted questions, so everybody getting asked the same questions. We're not just trying to find out, news from one person. It's very structured, and there's a process. So there's a confidentiality agreement, there's consent forms that should be signed, and so it's a very structured process. And so we really trying to conduct this research at the highest level of research ethical standards and professionalism. So
Well,
if you know anybody, please send them our way.
yes, we will definitely do that, and I'm pretty sure our listeners and viewers will hopefully do the same. But time has run us down very quickly.
Yes. No problem. Yes, it's really happy to have been here to kind of, again, just add to the conversation, in terms of people's consciousness around, what's happening with COVID and how we're kind of mobilizing and adapting. Remember, still for everybody, this is for everybody, stay hydrated, drink your water, eat your fruits and your vegetables because, we have to build our immune system, maintain a healthy weight, try your best to maintain healthy lifestyle. So obviously access to certain things, like even just being able to go outside and exercise is restricted. We can't even do that. So, we need to try our best to stay healthy and well, and even in the ways that we try to support other people. Just have some consciousness around, how we put together our food baskets and see if we can, extend some help in terms of making sure people get their nutritional needs met during this hard time. So thank you all very much for your time and your indulgence. Thank you for listening. That's it from me. Have a good day.
All right, thank you so much, Isalean.
All right.
So take care. We're going to take a short break and be right back with more Island Tea right here with Media SKN. Stay locked. Keep it tuned.
Bye, guys. See y'all.
Hold on, stop. Think about the drink before you take a drop. Read up on the label on the back. They say science sugar low in fat. But don't be fooled by that. Drink some water, share some love. I have a surprise for mosquito, roach and flies. Pop makes all of them die. Don't bother with the long chat, Pop tell you why. Pop makes all of them die. To take care of my premises, I have to stand guard. Pop kill insects, small or large. When me use my yard, me no need no bodyguard. Pop takes care of roach in a house and yard. Surprise with mosquito, roach and flies. Pop makes all of them die. Don't bother with the long chat, Pop tell you why. Get serious, get bop.
Like us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/ramsupermarket. Follow us on Twitter, www.twitter.com/ramsupermarket. And subscribe to us on YouTube, www.youtube.com/ramsupermarket.
Cool. Energize your goals with Lucozade. Get it cool. Look under the cap. Find the code. Win it. Thousands in prizes. iPhones and TVs. Or win 30 grand US dollars for your goals. That's goals.
For a chance to win $30,000 US. Purchase any Lucozade Energy promo bottle. Look under the cap and find the code to win iPhones, TVs, and free Lucozade for $30,000 US to energize your goals. See website, social media, or press for details. Lucozade, taste the energy.
Welcome back to Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Azem, featuring Jade, Gwen Johnson. And it is time to jump back into tea.
We are back.
Azem, that almost sounded like the Carib voice, eh?
No, the Carib voice is a bit deeper.
Okay,
This
so
is cold beer.
on a scorching hot day.
We not do this.
You can't just say half the line. You have to say the whole line, Jade.
Indeed. I'm just talking the Carib voice for the rest of the day.
So the IMF has predicted that St Kitts and Nevis is going to have a 1% growth for 2021.
How much you said, sir?
1%.
Oh.
Better than a contraction.
So The IMF says that the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on St Kitts and Nevis' tourism-dependent economy has been severe, despite timely government actions that kept domestic infections in 2020 the lowest in the Western Hemisphere. See that? We can't boast about that for 2021.
Nope.
So, it is projecting a small further decline in gross domestic product, the GDP, of 1% in 2021, followed by a 10% growth in 2022. The pre-pandemic GDP level is expected to be reached in 2024. So let me repeat that part because I think that part is very important. The pre-pandemic GDP levels is expected to be reached in 2024. So in 2024, we're going to be where we were in 2019.
Great.
Okay. So the IMF, however, warns that the recovery path could be derailed should a pandemic impose sustained disruptions on the anticipated pace of tourism inflows and domestic activity.
It's time to pivot.
I think that's yeah. So,
do you hear how
And to
fickle
pivot.
things are right now?
into the thick of it.
Something can disrupt our path and throw us back to our 1%. Great.
I mean, that's how it is. Because
Yeah,
I mean, it's always
absolutely.
been that way. Like you could have all the projections and a hurricane just come and just
Clean up your
Yeah,
Yeah.
just destroy everything. You could just renovate the whole of Bastia and a hurricane show up and just ruin it. You know. So.
Yeah. I think it's recognizing what the challenges are and building resistance into the system, building resilience, and then building the mechanisms to properly respond to possible situations. So, like I don't know if you guys have been following like what's been happening in like Taiwan, and like Taiwan been a mystic example because I feel like there's a lot of similarities between the responses between us and Taiwan. But one of the things that I found interesting about Taiwan is they have this agency that gets activated during pandemics. And this came again as a response of them dealing with the SARS pandemic, and they recognize, okay, so in order for us to not be in this situation next time, we gotta do something. And what they did was they have this agency that basically, once instituted, it's able to collate information from all the different agencies. So you could collate travel history with so immigration could now talk to like the health sector, right? So you could now build these databases specific to whatever the situation is and help you with the response. So like things like that I think is what we need to recognize. We need to even now start looking at where the shortcomings were in terms of us being able to respond in the way we wanted to respond. Look at how we could respond better and build those things into the system, even if it's things that come into play when the situation arises, right? To build resilience, because we're talking a lot about the economics of the situation and things like that. And yes, it's important.
Very.
But I don't think it would be wise for us to just be like, well, that's life. like that's life.
No, we can't do that.
You know, so whether it means pivoting and moving into industries that are more resilient to things like this.
That's a thought.
So for instance, like I always talk about for instance technology. We just were speaking about doing things to bolster our food stocks and be more food secure. So things like this I think is what we're gonna need to really put into play to deal with these kind of situations. To be honest, I was not expecting any type of expansion in the economy over the next year. So the 1% is
That is when they said
welcome.
tourism would get back to some sort of normalcy. So
no. I'm talking about the 1% in the upcoming year. So yeah, I was expecting more contraction, but we could always undershoot the expectation, or we could overshoot the expectation. So but we have to position ourselves to do either. It's gonna be interesting to see which direction we go in. This is how it is.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking Lucia about it, they would have never. Sorry, St Vincent.
Mm-hmm. Or I mean, with
Yeah, with the volcano and stuff like that. These things has happened by, but again, how do we build resilience, and how do we build the mechanisms to help us deal with these things as they come? Because all these things is learning situations. These opportunities to learn.
Yeah, and these things is things that we can't control. Like we could have never predicted that a pandemic would shut down the whole entire world.
Mm-hmm.
Whole world.
Yeah.
So
bear in mind that there's some people, businesses, even countries that, based on how they were positioned and what they were into, would have benefited greatly economically because of the pandemic.
I don't know if we was one of them.
Obviously not.
Obviously not.
So I think it's about every industry has its risk, and it's gonna have things that that it's susceptible to. I think the key is to diversify enough to ensure that we're able to
sustain ourselves.
Yeah. I think that has to be the way we move forward.
I agree. We can't like, our focus was on tourism, and the pandemic literally wiped that out quickly. So we really need to find other things that we can have, that in case of anything we can fall back on these, and we don't have to worry about how people can eat, because this tourism industry is where we make our the most money for the country, and now that is gone.
Something can always be the most, and
the most, and we need to have other things to back up the most.
Yeah, and that's what's important.
I don't even want them to become. I don't even want them to become this industry that is like a fallback industry. Things can still happen, because if the pandemic never happened and we had other industries going, we would have been doing much, much better. The economy would have been in an even better place. So it doesn't need to be like a plan B or fallback industry. It could just be another industry that supports the country's growth,
Yeah, it's just about diversifying. And the thing about it for me is we have to play to our strengths, right? So we have to recognize that we have advantages based on our size, based on our location, and that is one of the things that we did with tourism. Recognizing our location gave us certain advantages, and we were able to parlay that into something that was able to earn the country money. So I think we need to look at other advantages that we may have based on size, based on, again, it could be location. So for instance, if we are involved in the financial markets, that gives us an advantage if we were to position ourselves to be a player, for instance, in the Asian markets and stuff like that, right? So there's things that we can do based on our thing. Even for instance, our position in the Caribbean. I think one of the things that we should have been doing is really bolstering our ports, our seaports and trade, because we really strategically located in the Caribbean. Like, based on where we're located, we generally don't get the brunt of most hurricanes. We're actually in the center of the archipelago pretty much. We have Trinidad in the south, you have like Jamaica, Cuba in the north. We're pretty much in the middle, if you look at it on a map. Right? So even being like a shipping hub for some of the other countries and stuff like that, may work in our favor. So I mean, we just have to look at what it is that we have and find ways to maximize those advantages and take advantage of those situations.
Yeah, we can just continue to be moving from industry to industry and focusing on one thing at a time. Like, I don't think that's sustainable at all. Like, why do we always do that? We moved from sugar and we went into tourism, and that's like where we've stayed for the last couple of years. Whereas we could have been building out other things to go along with tourism. I mean, yes, tourism is one of those industries that make us money, but there are other things that can make us money.
Yeah, I think and we do, and we have some of these things already. Like we do things on certain, but it's just on this scale.
Yeah.
So it's about nobody's saying give less attention to tourism and we shouldn't focus on that and build it out. But it's like okay, that is on a point now where we recognize that's going. There's some of these other industries that are budding. What can we do to help to maximize these industries and help them?
Yeah,
grow?
because not only will it do much for the economy itself, but think of it beyond tourism and stuff. You're creating new jobs. You're creating different opportunities. You're giving people who go away to study certain degrees and fields a place in a country. So it's not just the fact that we're telling you that diversify. So tourism isn't the only thing. We're creating new jobs. We're creating new fields. That in itself might create even more fields. Branch off into more things. So I just think that depending on tourism to keep the entire country afloat is a bit of a self-sabotaging move.
Yeah, one of the approaches that I think could be looked into as well is there are certain things that we need for us. Right? There's certain things that we need for us. Is there any way that we can build the capacity where we could then offer those things to people around us? So, we talk about food, and food is the obvious one. We need to be more self-sufficient, and we need to focus on agriculture, so we could even get to a point where we export. Yes, that's one. But what about things like healthcare? Right? So, for instance, we have people here who have to travel to get certain types of treatment and things, right? Can we build the capacity where we become a place where people come to for those types of services and that kind of help? Right? So we have to, so I think that's one of the things. Whenever we're looking at building out things to benefit our citizens, can we position ourselves strategically to be able to offer that to those around us?
Yeah.
Right? So I think if we look in those types of terms, we'll definitely see some growth in some of these other sectors.
Yes, according to Kevon. But guys, I know, somebody mentioned that the PM actually has a press conference at 10. I'm excited to hear what he has to say. I hope it's
excitement.
I hope it's done in a way where we all can understand.
Yeah, man, they've been doing better.
Yes, they have been. And then
you think you should have a guest appearance by Juicy?
No, I think
Jade, you're horrible. Why not?
I think Juicy is busy.
Oh, okay.
And I think
probably is actually. He probably is actually really busy.
So I don't want us to have to
disturb him.
Yes,
right,
while he's doing the things that he's busy with.
No one believes you. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
he has a full plate already. Yeah. So let us leave him with that plate.
Yeah. But guys, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Go ahead, Azem. I was looking for what else they have to stay tuned for, because we have a packed day today on WINN FM.
A lineup.
But guys, it's gonna be interesting to see where this direction, where the decisions go. To be honest, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm not expecting much in terms of long-term planning and movement. I think there's a lot of discussions that are still being had. A lot of discussions are still being had. I know a lot of people, as much as we're talking about the need to bolster some of the other industries, tourism is at the present time still the way that a lot of people earn.
Oh, that is at the
and so a lot of people have questions as it relates to how that's going to look. People been asking, where are the ships? Where are the ships? And I'm just like, and how are we gonna deal with that? I don't think they even know themselves here.
No, because
things changing up so fast.
Yeah, and the reality is, once ago we were hearing them say, like, the guests would have to be vaccinated before they come, and all these things, and now we're seeing.
But then, with things like that, we have to consider the fact that those decisions were made with certain expectancies, and the fact that certain expectancies weren't met or they're no longer feasible. Things have to evolve.
Yeah, like they change now to the fact that unvaccinated people are allowed to go on their vacations, and you can't ask them anything about their vaccination status because you can get sued as the cruise company. So it would be interesting.
That's not true, but okay.
That's not what they say?
That's what they're saying, but it's not true.
Okay, well, it would be interesting to see
the way around that, the way, and this is Okay, this is a pet peeve of mine. I'll say it real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
We understand that we're small, and so, you know, there's certain situations that we're going to be put in where we may have to accept the dirty end of the stick sometime when we're dealing with the metropoles, right? When we're dealing with the Americas and the UKs and whatever. However, I think we have to do a better job at stating and protecting our interests when we're dealing with some of these countries. So, for instance, just like how the airplane can ask to see your status because you have to have the vaccine enabled to come to St Kitts, I don't see why we can't do that for the cruise. So, in other words, we must be able to demand that in order to come to the region, this is what it is. This is what is required of you.
I agree.
Just like how
the metropoles do a lot of arm twisting, and we need to learn how to not conform sometimes.
Bro,
sometimes just put my foot down.
Bro, it ain't even about not conforming. You know, it's about just being on the same level. We can't go there if we ain't on a visa. If we ain't on a visa, they're not letting you in.
Facts.
Right.
You understand where I'm coming from? And we have to pay them millions of dollars to go to the country.
Facts again.
You understand where I'm coming from? Like, even in the financial system, the Fed come, ask the banks for all kind of information from us, all kind of this, all kind of that, but we don't ask them for anything?
Nope.
No,
And
just
with that,
vibes.
we're going to leave you guys on that note. But remember, people, stay tuned to WINN FM today. At 10 o'clock, we have the Prime Minister's press conference. We also have a very interesting discussion from the OECS bar at 4 o'clock.
Oh, that's 4 o'clock?
Yes,
okay.
4 to 6 p.m.
I want to hear that.
Yes, before that, however, we have some music by DJ Flames. And don't forget to lock in with the Noita tonight for some good news, for some balance, you know, because we need it.
Only good news.
Yes. Azem, do your thing now.
Well, it's not really for me, you know. It's actually for the Prosecco Papi himself, the Duke of Frigate Bay. The Slim God, the Chapstick Don, the Pope of Hygiene.
That one funny.
The man himself, who is now displaying his $1 million smile from a profile shot.
Yes.
Kevon Hanley.
Remember that you can't be everybody's cup of tea because you is not a mug. See you tomorrow.